Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into two really powerful tools, and they're not just about learning more stuff, they're about turning what you learn into who you actually become.
So, let's just jump right into the big question. Think about it. We all sit through talks, lectures, sermons, and we absorb all this great information. But if we're being honest, how much of it really changes us? How do we get from just hearing something to actually living it? That's the puzzle we're going to solve today. All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at why lectures alone aren't enough. Then, we'll introduce two key tools, the small group and the one-on-one. After that, and this is the most important part, we're going to talk about your role in all this. And finally, we'll cover the ground rules that make it all safe and effective.
Okay, let's get into our first section. Because before you can find a solution, you really have to understand the problem you're trying to solve.
You know, what's so fascinating is that you can have a room full of people hearing the exact same message from the exact same speaker at the exact same time, and they'll all walk away with something a little different. A lecture is really just the raw material. The real transformation happens in what you do with it afterwards.
So, how do we start doing something with it? Well, that brings us to our very first tool, the small group. This is where we tap into the power of a shared journey.
And let's be really clear about what this is. This is not just a casual get-together. A small group is a focused, intentional setting. Think of it like a lab where you and a few others get to really break down the ideas from the week with a facilitator there to guide the process. And this is where the magic happens. You get to hear how the message landed for someone else, and suddenly you have this aha moment. It's where you can say, wait, I didn't get that part. Can someone explain it? It's also the place to ask the big question. Okay, but how does this actually work in my messy real life? And through all that, you end up building this incredible sense of community. I love this quote because it's so direct. This is not break time, it is an extension of the classroom. In other words, this isn't the after party, this is the party. It's a core, essential part of the learning experience itself.
Okay, so we've talked about the power of the group, but now let's zoom in, all the way in, to our second tool, which is all about individual focus.
If the small group is a collaborative lab, then the one-on-one is your personal strategy session. This is a totally private, totally confidential space where you can get into the stuff that's maybe too personal or too specific for the group. It's all about your journey.
This chart breaks it down perfectly. And you can see, these two tools aren't competing with each other. They're designed to work together. The small group gives you breadth. You get all these different perspectives. The one-on-one gives you depth. You get focused, personal guidance. You really need both.
So, we've got these two fantastic tools, the small group and the one-on-one. But here's the million-dollar question. Who's responsible for making them actually work? Now, lean in for this part, because this is probably the single most important idea in this entire explainer.
여러분들이 주인공이에요. It means you are the protagonists. Let that sink in for a second. The facilitator, the leader, they're just a guide, a supporting character. The hero of the story is you.
The best way to think about it is like an old-fashioned water pump. The guide can pour a little bit of priming water into the top just to get it started. Maybe they'll ask a good question, but they can't make the fresh water come out. You have to do the work. You have to grab the handle and start pumping by asking your questions and sharing your thoughts. That's when the real insight starts to flow.
So what does this mean practically? It means you can't just show up and be a passive observer. You have to come ready. Before you even walk in the door, think, what confused me this week? Where am I stuck? What's the one thing I really need to talk about? It's simple. You will get out of it exactly what you put into it. All right, for any of this to work, for people to feel safe enough to be vulnerable, everyone needs to be playing by the same rules. Think of these as the guardrails on the highway. They're not there to restrict you, they're there to keep everyone safe so you can go deep. And these are totally non-negotiable. First, confidentiality. What's said in the room stays in the room, period. That's the foundation of trust. And the no gossip rule is so important. Use I statements. Talk about your experience, your struggles. This isn't the time to vent about your roommate or your boss. The focus is on your growth. Now, it's really important that we're all crystal clear on this one exception. While confidentiality is the standard, safety always comes first. If a situation involves immediate danger to you or someone else, or a serious illegal act, facilitators have a responsibility to report it. This isn't a loophole, it's a critical protection for everyone. So as we wrap up, let's bring it all home. Look, information is everywhere. It's cheap. You can get it 24/7. But transformation? That's different. Transformation is a choice. It's an action. So I want to leave you with this one question to think about. What question will you bring to your next session? Because your transformation begins right there.